He never noticed the brand of her shoes or the simplicity of her uniform. What caught his attention was the warmth in her smile. In a world obsessed with appearances, he chose to see something deeper, kindness. That moment was pure and unfiltered, a reminder that true beauty has nothing to do with what you wear or where you come from. He didn't know she was the daughter of a powerful CEO, nor did he care. What he saw was someone who listened, someone who cared, someone who made him feel seen when the rest of the world looked past him. It's easy to judge people by their clothes, their job, or their car, but character doesn't wear labels. The heart never needs a price tag. Sometimes, the richest souls are wrapped in the simplest lives, and he saw that long before the world told him who she really was. It took every ounce of courage he had to walk up to her that day. His hands trembled, his voice almost gave out, but his heart refused to stay silent. What if she laughed? What if she said no? He didn't know, but he asked anyway. And that's the power of courage. It doesn't erase fear, it moves through it. One small act of bravery can open doors we never knew existed. In that moment, his world shifted. Not because of her answer, but because he dared to ask. Too often, we wait for the perfect time, forgetting that courage is what creates those moments. The boy didn't have wealth, confidence, or status. He had heart. And sometimes, that's all it takes to change everything. Because courage isn't about being fearless. It's about being brave enough to try when fear is loudest. Big. She never mentioned her family name, never hinted at the power she came from. To him, she was just the kind nurse who stayed late after shifts, who smiled at everyone, who treated each patient with the same gentle care. There was no pride in her voice, no arrogance in her walk, just quiet grace. And that's what true greatness looks like. It doesn't need attention, applause, or a spotlight. It lives in the way we treat others. When no one is watching, her humility made her shine brighter than any title ever could. In a world where people chase recognition, she chose compassion. She reminded everyone around her that real strength is silent and steady. It serves, not shows off. And in her simplicity, she carried a kind of power that couldn't be bought or taught, only lived. When they talked, there was no barrier between them, no sense of rich or poor, educated or struggling. It was just two souls connecting through kindness. She never saw his torn backpack or his worn-out shoes. She saw the sincerity in his words, and he never cared about her world of comfort and privilege. He cared about the way she made others feel. That's the thing about kindness. It doesn't belong to a class. It doesn't choose sides, and it doesn't need status to speak. It flows freely, touching hearts that society tries to divide. In their small conversations, they built something bigger than backgrounds or bank balances. They built understanding. It's proof that humanity is the only real bridge between people. Because in the end, kindness doesn't ask who you are. It only asks, are you willing to care? 8. It started as just an invitation, a nervous question asked with trembling hope. Neither of them knew that moment would become a memory they'd never forget. Sometimes, life hides its biggest surprises behind the simplest gestures. A dance invitation turned into a story about connection, respect, and the beauty of unexpected encounters. It wasn't about fancy decorations or music that night. It was about two hearts, realizing that genuine people still exist in a world full of pretenses. One simple act of honesty revealed the depth of human connection, something no amount of money could ever buy. And maybe that's what makes life so extraordinary. The little moments we almost overlook often carry the greatest meaning, because sometimes the smallest choices made with sincerity end up changing everything. He never stopped dreaming, even when life gave him every reason to. Growing up with little, he learned early that dreams don't require wealth, just belief. Every book he borrowed, every extra hour he worked after school, was a silent promise to himself that one day he'd rise beyond his circumstances. Meeting her didn't change his dream. It reminded him that he was worthy of one. Because sometimes life places people in our path, not to rescue us, but to remind us that we can climb higher. The world may try to limit those who come from humble beginnings, but passion, hard work, and courage have no limits. His story wasn't about luck, it was about faith. Faith in himself, in goodness, and in the idea that no background is too small for a big dream. Because dreams only die when we stop believing in them.